All right, in this video, we're going to go over homework number 8, our EOC review number 8. All right, in the expression 2x squared plus 5x minus 3, list the following. So what are the terms? The terms are 2x squared, 5x, and negative 3. What are the constants? Well, the only constant in this equation is negative 3. What are the coefficients? Coefficients are the numbers in front of the variable, so that would be 2 and 5. And what are the operations? Well, between the coefficient and the variable, you have multiplication, and then you have addition and subtraction. All right, number 2. When the expression 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 is written in the equivalent form, 2x plus 1 multiplied by x plus 3, what are the factors? Well, they gave you the factors. So the factors are 2x minus 1 and x plus 3. The only thing a factor is that quadratic function in simplified form. So those are your factors. On the graph, label the x-intercepts. So I'm going to label my x-intercepts, which are right here. So this would be x is equal to a negative 1, and this is x is equal to 5. And label the maximum or minimum. Well, this quadratic function is opening up, and if my function is opening up, I'm going to have a minimum value, and that minimum value is right here, and that minimum value is at the point 2, 9. Factor to solve for the x-intercepts are zeros for the function x squared minus 4x minus 5. Well, they already gave us the function x squared minus 4x minus 5, and they've already graphed it for us. So I don't need to factor it, but I can. This would be x plus 1 multiplied by x minus 5. Because those are my factors, I can determine that x is equal to negative 1, which is what I already have listed as my x-intercept, my 0, and x is equal to 5. Use completing the square. We're not going to use completing the squares to find the vertex. We can look at what our vertex is because we've already labeled it. That is our minimum value. And our minimum was at this point, which is 2, negative 9. And so our vertex is also, we can just go ahead and list right now as 2, negative 9. Okay, if they give you the graph, you don't need to be able to, you don't need to find it algebraically. If they don't give you the graph, the best way to find your vertex would be to find your axis of symmetry. Remember, that's your b divided by 2a, your negative b divided by 2a, and then you would find your f of x for that negative b over 2a. Okay, but you would have, and then you would plug that into your function. So that's the alternative option to finding your vertex if you don't have the graph. All right, let's move on to number 6. Jonathan kicks a kickball into the air. The height of the ball in feet can be determined using the equation h of t is equal to 32t minus 16t squared, where t is the time in seconds. Okay, that's telling us, what this is telling us right here is that t, time, is our input. Our x value. So to determine how long the ball is in the air, he would need to calculate what? Well, if you think about a ball being kicked in the air and you want to know how long it's in the air, then you're going to want to know how long it took to get from this point to this point. So you're going to look for your X-intercepts. Which equation is a step in finding the solution to how long the ball was in the air? Well, to find our X-intercepts, then that's when our Y, our output, is equal to 0. And remember, Y is the same thing as our h of t here. So if our Y is going to be equal to 0, or h of t is going to be equal to 0, we are looking for this function right here. We don't want to know when our input is 0, because when our input is 0, the ball would be right here on the graph. And if we found our input of 3, that 3 could be any time in seconds. Say, for instance, it was right here on the graph. Then we would be finding the maximum value. So we need to find out when our height is at 0, so you would replace that y, or that h of t, with 0. Number 7, the expression x squared plus 3x plus 2 can also be written as x plus 1 and x plus 2. Okay, so they gave it to us in factored form. When written in the form x squared plus 3x plus 2, there are how many terms? And look at, we have a word bank down here to choose from. So let's look at our word bank. There are how many terms? Well, we have x squared, 3x, and 2. So there are 3 terms. And 3 is a blank. So what is this number 3 in this form? That's our coefficient. When written in the form x plus 1 multiplied by x plus 2, x plus 1 is a what? Well, this x plus 1 is a factor. That is a factor of x squared plus 3x plus 2. What is, and now let's move on to question 8. What is the factored form of 9x squared minus y to the 4th? Okay, what I want you to identify here is that you have a term and a second term, and it's separated by a negative sign. That negative is another word of saying difference. And if you're looking at this and you notice that 9x squared, 9x squared is a perfect square, which would be plus or minus 3x, then you could also identify that y to the 4th is also a perfect square, which would be y squared. So this is a difference of squares polynomial, and when you have a difference of squares polynomial, you can rewrite that as 3x, because the square root of 9x squared is 3x, minus y squared, and then you would have 3x plus y squared. And that's when you have a positive and a negative and you have two perfect squares like we did in this example. Just a quicker and easier way to factor a polynomial if you have a difference of squares. All right, that's it for your homework this week. That was the last one. I will see you in class.